You've counted every calorie, tried every diet, spent hours in the gym, and still something's missing. You want more than just weight loss. You want your energy back. You want your confidence restored. You want a way of living that doesn't feel like punishment. Welcome to Master Your Metabolism, where we cut through the noise, ditch the fads, and give you a real plan to become the healthiest, strongest version of you. Hosted by our team of expert coaches with proven strategies, science-based tips, and real-life encouragement, not just to help you lose fat, but actually create that lifestyle that you love. You've tried everything. Now, let's try what actually works. This is your turning point. Let's go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Master Your Metabolism. I am here today with not just Calvin Masters, but the famous Jess Stancil. And Jess is an IFBB Pro. We actually met him through another coach, and he is a phenomenal coach and has trained how many? You have how many IFBB Pros now under your belt?
IFBB Pro's one myself,
One.
but we're working on a couple. Yeah, I've
Nice.
got a few overalls here and got some qualifications for nationals. So that's kind of the next step.
Awesome.
Now,
Awesome.
do you do mostly competitors, or do you lifestyle also with your coaching?
Yeah, I started with it. Always started from bodybuilding for me with my background. Being a pro for most people doesn't happen overnight. So for the listeners here,
Get me out of
a
there.
little bit of context. It took me at least 10 years of training and actually competing
Yeah.
to earn that pro status. So, been in bodybuilding for a long time, and that was kind of the start of everything. But when I started coaching, it was more of a lifestyle thing. I was in personal training. I actually started in a kind of group fitness setting. Long story
Group is
short,
real.
yeah, group fitness. Had a big gym that I coached at with anywhere from like 40 to 60 people in a class at a given
Damn.
time. Long story short, got fired from that gym for dating a member, my wife now. So it worked out pretty well.
The risk, right?
Yeah, I work with a lot of people who used to go to that gym still. They get better results now. And I also make a lot more money than I did when I coached at that gym. So that's kind of how I started though. And it was more lifestyle for a long time getting into it, just having a personal training background, going from that to doing kind of freelance personal training and then throwing the coaching stuff in. This was still back in the time where like uh, online coaching was like, hey, I'm going to type up a couple exercises for you to do and some macros for you to hit in MyFitnessPal, and then you can text me and tell me how it's going.
Exactly.
In a few weeks,
Yeah, good
charge
time.
$30.
Pretty much. So that was the start of things. So I kept doing personal training for a while. I actually really liked it in a lot of ways. It just I miss things about the one-on-one setting. I rarely do it now. Maybe people here and there, but it was just a necessary step to kind of transition into the online business and coaching space and a little bit of educating like I'm doing now to really be able to use what I've learned and what I'm passionate about more and just help more people on a
Yep.
better level. So I guess where I'm going with that is from there transitioned into more, online lifestyle coaching. Usually I liked working with people who were maybe not bodybuilders, but kind of serious about their results. They wanted to train like bodybuilders. And
Right.
that's still where a lot of my lifestyle clients are now is, they aren't here to ask me like, hey, what's the protein?
Right.
How do I do a curl? They want to train like a bodybuilder would, and maybe they aspire to do that one day, but right now they really just want to um, dial things in better and get their best physique, or maybe get past some sticking points and plateaus that they've had, or just
Yeah.
optimize things the best they can. In the last year, I would say I grew a lot more in the competitor space, which has been fun. So a lot of newer competitors that are maybe doing their first show or trying to get their first overall win and qualify for nationals. And then with the athletes that we had on stage this year, I'm definitely hoping for a couple of pro cards next
Yeah.
year. when those
And
national shows come around.
it's the same way to evolve, right? It's like you had to evolve from the gym floor, going to the online,
Mhm.
getting more serious with the online. And it's the same thing that
Right.
I find with clients. It's the
Right.
client that you work with and what you enjoy doing. It kind of evolves too, because then you find your niche. You find what it is you really love. Like you got the serious clients, and that only would lead to the competitors, and that's you become a better coach. So then you are able to coach them better. Like I see the same thing with Calvin. Like when we started, it was a boot camp. Same thing, group coaching.
Yeah, I'm
You went
listening to his story, and I'm like, "My God, me and Jess got a
COVID.
lot in common." I'm like, surprised we didn't bump into each other at some point with all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's like,
It's funny, and we've actually done some of the same shows at, like, different years or different times, but,
Yeah.
I think that's a common transition for a lot of people is just to start, and you can't be too niche always when you're starting out. You might not get to
correct.
work with the perfect client that you wanna have one day, but if you have those skills and you keep kinda working on specific things that you wanna work towards with those people, maybe it takes taking a few lifestyle clients through
Mhm.
transformations to get them to where, like, "Hey, you need to get on stage. You look awesome,"
Yeah.
to
Correct.
I
then be
couldn't agree
ready to
more.
take on higher level competitors or maybe find out, where you actually want to be. I'm pretty happy with working with, high level local and amateur competitors. I think that I help some pros out now on more of the health and like lab work side of things. Sometimes with the coaches help too, and I can just see how coaching top pros, if I were in that position, could definitely be a lot of work. Could be, you know, it maybe
100%.
maybe not what I'd really love doing the most.
It's a
100%.
lot, yeah, and the pressure's on with that as I'm sure you're
Like
gonna have a
first
handful of them.
every couple months.
Yeah, well, what I'm hearing too is that, it's I agree, it's like, I think, it's an art, it's an art to prep a competitor, and it's more so I respect the coaches that do the same thing, like, that's the way I see it with my competitors is I'm not chasing to have a bunch of pros, I'm not trying to impress anybody with this. I still wanna love coaching, and I think there's something to be said about taking somebody that just came to you just to be in better shape or just be healthy. And all of a sudden, what you do is you take this person and you mold them into something that they never saw coming. I
Yep.
think that's the most you can achieve with a coach as a coach is to give them more than what they expected originally and show
Right.
them what they're truly capable of and build into that. And to have a coach that can, hone them in and keep them on track and take them up to that level and then build them up. I mean, like that's to me, that's everything for coaching. That's do that. And I can totally get that, that would be something more to chase. You don't might not get the same credibility on paper, on Instagram as one, but a lot of coaches are cherry picking. You know that. They're going and they're
Yeah.
finding that person that's already there and they're like, oh, look what we did
Yeah.
here.
I'll go
And I
ahead and
think a
coach
lot
you
of
for
coaches,
free.
yeah, I think there's clout in it. Sometimes there's status, you wanna work
Yeah.
with that, wanna get the wins, right? And you wanna and unfortunately that does attract clients,
Yep.
a lot of
Mhm.
Yep.
people will go, that coach's client won the show, so that's the coach I need to work with. It might have everything to do with, who that client was and what they did,
Right.
their genetics, who they worked
100%.
with before. But
Yeah.
There's also
I think
something
you're
about,
right. Meeting
yeah.
people where they're at and just, taking them further than they thought they could go.
That to me is a great coach. 100%.
And that's why you coach. You coach to show that person what they're capable of. That's part of coaching. And when they get there, that's not the finish line. The finish line is like, keep going, keep going. Like, oh, I did this.
Right.
Cool. Let me set a new goal. Cool. Let me set a new goal. Just like you did. You started competing. And then you said, cool. Now I want to go qualify. Cool. Now I want to become pro. It's all about showing people that there's no ceiling. You hit it, you
Yeah, it
keep
is.
moving. And that's what coaching is. So part of
Yeah.
the process, the fun part is seeing those first few steps that they hit the goal that they didn't think, and then they hit not, you know what I mean? And then it just builds that momentum. So I think that is a really cool part of coaching too.
It makes the win so much sweeter when it
It's the
I'll
best.
tell you, Justin being very he's got a lot of clout as a competitor. Like, he's been in the game. He's been doing it
Yeah.
and putting work in, and he's got a name built for himself. Don't let him kid you. He's just being modest.
Yeah.
It's funny because I had one of my buddies that I would compete against back in the earlier days, and he became pro way before me, and, he popped up in my in my messenger recently because he saw a post that you had commented on. He's like, Jess? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, wow. He's like, man, that guy, he's got crazy physique. He's like, he's one of the big. I'm like, I know. I'm like,
Oh, it's
We're
funny.
friends.
it's
It's
Jess.
just
This
like
is
you
just a
say,
normal guy, cool guy.
you start with one goal and then it's the next thing and then it's the next thing. Like I always thought, like if I ever achieved a pro card, I'd stop there. And here I am, like God, I'm not an Olympian yet. Like I got to keep doing this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
That's
tough road for people that haven't done it. It's a tough road, and to create pros and to get them to that point, it takes a lot of work and consistency, and it is tough, and especially when the judging kind of changes from time to time, and you
Right.
put that time into build them a certain way, and then they kind of change the look a little bit, and you're like, okay,
Oh yeah.
oh, we'll go ahead and throw that one.
you,
Yeah. That's a
What
frustrating
do you
part.
think about that?
yeah,
I,
yeah, no,
I think
exactly,
the model's been a tough one the first
Yeah,
year if bikini wasn't hard enough already.
honestly.
I think it's a matter of like time and place. There's been so many shows where like, man, this was the perfect look a month earlier or a month later when the
Yep,
judges were
there it
looking
is.
for this.
It's the evolution of
Keep
bodybuilding because
showing
it's the
up.
only way to win.
Yeah,
Is
you keep
improve,
showing up,
improve, improve.
try to look your best. You just hope at some point what you look like fits in with what those judges are looking for, and they appreciate what you got. And that's why there are guys at um, higher level that maybe 10 in a lot of pro shows, and then one day they look the same, and the judges are like, that's the winner.
I remember that. I remember going to Calvin's pro show and I'm like, the first one, he did 2 back to back. And the first one, it was like, he came in huge and he was bigger than everybody else and everybody else was more conditioned. So then the next one, they like did the opposite. I'm like, oh my gosh, like really? But it really
Yeah.
was like the guy he
The
competed with.
difference is I think it was 2 weeks time going from the universe over to Pittsburgh,
Yeah,
and I just it was, and I had 2 weeks to drop 3 pounds, or when I was already stage lean, I'm like, "Dear God." And I get there, and Pittsburgh, I don't know what we were thinking because Pittsburgh always brings in the big guys. They
North
just
America.
do, and I stepped on there, and I'm like, "Oh God, here we go." We might have made a mistake,
And I'm like already packing the bags in the
Evidently
room.
not.
Like, all right.
but
Yeah.
but it
But
was fun.
that's
Be
what it
back the
is.
next year.
Yeah, and that's what it is like bodybuilding is that thing. Like lifestyle bodybuilding, the difference is everyone's like, I want to look like a body. You can. It's just not the same lifestyle, right? So you just have to push harder, be more consistent, all the things. But if you go into bodybuilding thinking, I just want to win, you never know who's going to show up. You never know what those judges are looking for. You can literally come in the best you have ever looked. But if everybody there is a little bit more shredded and you are a little bit more muscular, you lose. Sorry, vice versa. So it's that mental game that you can push as hard, work as hard, but it's not like basketball. It's not because you got more
Yeah,
points you want. It is a subjective sport. So you have to have like that thick skin and just know, like, just do it. You just got to push and know, like, hey, I'm bringing my A game there.
absolutely. I think
Well,
my
speaking
favorite thing in bodybuilding is just the transformation, like you said,
Yes.
yeah.
seeing that client where they started out and where they finish at. And I think doing some competition coaches who are interested at all in doing that is just great for your coaching skills and your business because you have like a hard deadline. You have a transformation that
Yeah.
you really want to max out. You have specific goals that you want to work towards. It's not just like let's get as fit and lean as possible. You want to improve specific body parts and bring a particular look to that division. And then when you do that, you have great before and after pictures that you can show to inspire even all your lifestyle clients. It really
Right.
covers a lot there.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys though, being more bodybuilding coaches and also bodybuilders, like do you find that a lot of lifestyle clients when they come in, do they kind of expect that? You find people come in
Well,
like, "Hey, I
the
don't know
I'll
if I
tell you.
can look like that, but I wanna try."
Well, I'll tell you the most common thing that I hear when we get a new client on is the first thing they say right out of the gate is, "I don't wanna compete. I don't wanna go on stage, but
Okay.
I just wanna do this," And I'm thinking, "Well, we'll see." We'll
Yeah.
see.
And
No.
also the
Yeah.
thing is the majority of our clients are lifestyle.
Mhm.
Majority of our clients are not jumping on stage, but the evolution tends to be that they begin as lifestyle clients and then they get to that point and Calvin's like, and it does, it just evolves like that. It is not very often, like there are some times that we get competitors that either Calvin's met at shows or that have been referrals and things like that, that they want to kind of take it up a notch and do it. But it definitely is something that the majority of the people are just, it's lifestyle. And it's cool to be able to see them, again, get to that point they never thought possible and just set that higher bar and just keep going. Those, I think, are the coolest clients to work with and the greatest competitors because they've already shown you they could do it. They've already shown you the drive. Oh, it's one thing that you get, I want to compete, and then they jump on and it's like, they're not doing their check-ins. They're not showing their pictures. Like they forget to, I went on a cruise and things like that. You're like, you know what? Whereas when you get them first as a lifestyle and they've shown that consistency and you see it and you show them, hey, this is what it takes. And I see it in you.
That's it.
That's
That's it.
shift. That's like, wow. Because those are the ones that we find are the ones that are driven because they've already proven themselves, right? They've already shown that they have what it takes to be a competitor. And I know what we kind of view, but for you, when you get competitors, what are some things or some qualities or some things that you require for your competitors that you are like, this is what a competitor is?
Yeah, like you said, I think it does come from like wanting to do everything that's an important part of the process first. You have to love the training and eating and that lifestyle, and that's why I think serious lifestyle clients do make good competitors is because the qualities that I think make a good competitor are you love to train, you love to eat right, you love to just bodybuild to see the changes in your physique, and maybe you appreciate the art part of it too, the posing and whatnot, or maybe that comes later. But for me, it was never getting into bodybuilding like, oh, I want to be a bodybuilder and get on stage, so I'm gonna start working out. Like I got into lifting weights and wanting to put a little muscle on my skinny teenage body and get stronger and build a physique. And then I loved doing that. I wanted to keep taking it further. So I think for the true competitor, it just makes sense at some point to say, I love doing this training thing. I love everything that bodybuilders do. So I'm just going to get on stage and, have a goal that makes that training process more fun. You have to love it because to get any success out of bodybuilding, you either have really good genetics, which
Yeah, it's true.
that's a great start right there,
Yeah.
right? But you also, if you don't have really good genetics, especially, you've got to put a long time into it. If you just want to get on stage, just to have some pictures and you don't love the process, I just don't think you're going to make it that far.
Yep.
It takes so many years, so much consistency and work to
Yeah.
see the benefits, to get something out of it, that you've got to love that part of it first. On top of that,
Yeah.
I'd just say, I think anybody working with a coach, just being coachable, communication
Yes.
skills, being dedicated, and reliable, not just to, doing the hard work and doing your cardio, but like following the actual plan, not doing more than you're told to do, not just communicating things with your coach and being a student.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A student,
'Cause
a
it does
student in the game too is important. I always, when I was really getting into bodybuilding and coming up, like I didn't have a coach when I started out, so I learned everything myself, but I wanted to learn it myself. I went to the shows just to watch. I went to the seminars. Now you have so much information available on your
Yeah.
phone,
Yeah.
at these local events. There's seminars near you. Most people probably have a local conference they can go to where IFBB pros are going to be there, judges are going to be there. Like you can learn this stuff if you want to. And I think a good competitor that's passionate about it is like really going out there and seeking it out,
Yep.
Yeah.
listening
Yeah.
to stuff
Not
like
something
these guys.
not something you can force.
Yeah,
As you mentioned about before, you mentioned about them overdoing it. And
yeah,
that's something a lot of people don't, you don't think about is you think most of the time is people are underperforming, just not doing the cardio, this and that. But you do occasionally get that person that's just they're that overachiever and you find out they're doing more cardio than what they should be doing because they don't understand the science part of it. They just still have that mentality of just more and more, and overdoing it, which in our case screws us up because now we don't know how to moderate that, to go in and then the stress kicks in, but it can go both ways. So I think that adherence and communication You know, you have to have experience with food, training, everything. All kind of the stars have to be in alignment to really be in a place to be a good competitor. There's kind of entry level, and then there's good competitor. You get to a certain point where they're seasoned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
I've had to have tough conversations with people who said, "I wanna compete," where I've told them, like, "Hey, you haven't been able to nail your macros for a week yet. You can compete one day, but we're not ready to do a prep until you get this really basic stuff."
And that is hard. That's hard for a conversation. I know Calvin has a hard time having that conversation with people because you really do want it for them. But the problem is going into a prep when they're not ready and they're not consistent or they're not able to follow the plan, you're going to be struggling. And it's going to go on the coach and you towards the end because now you have a date. Now you want to do it. You put in all this time and now it's not working because you didn't follow the plan in the beginning. So now here we are in quite the little pickle, and I know you are like us. People don't realize a prep is hard on the body. And this kind of brings into the next point that I know that you work like we do of watching labs, making sure your health is priority when you are doing things, whether it be a prep actually or just lifestyle clients. You have to look at it's coaching's been, something that has developed and understanding optimizing health with what your goal is has to be tied together and kept in mind while you are coaching someone. And thank goodness, like now there are different things available, like peptides and things like that, that there are lots of options, lots of different things. But it always comes down to the foundations first because everybody wants to jump on the peptides, everybody wants to do something. But I kind of tell people if you're trying to brush your teeth and you're eating Oreo cookies at the same time, that it's not going to be the result you're looking for. So the foundations need to be first. The habits need to be first. Communication, being coachable, but like moving into peptides. So I'm going to talk to you because I do know that you work with that as well. What are some of the things that you found have been helpful for people with building muscle, fat loss, like some of your go-tos and how you would use them, like which applications, I should say.
For the competitor more so, or
You could start with the
anybody with
competitor.
with those goals. Yeah. Love that question. I love that, there are new tools like these out, or maybe they're not new, but there's more awareness around it now. I think the
Correct.
landscape of coaching has changed a little bit. So, assuming that the person does have that foundation right first, they're not they're not jumping into anything too early. They're not jumping into a prep to fix bad habits and try to say now it's going to make me right, and I'm going to do all these peptides and get shredded. That's going to be awesome. They're not just looking for shortcuts. I think there are a lot of options out there that just can can make this whole process of bodybuilding, building muscle, losing fat easier, healthier, maybe more enjoyable, and just accelerate it. But if we're calling these performance enhancers, you have to have a performance already to enhance, right? They're they're going to make what you're already doing better. So to answer that question, I think my favorite in the application of like bodybuilders or somebody with similar goals would be there are peptides out now. Like, the GLP-1s are all the rage right now. They're trending in bodybuilding now. They're trending at just general population and weight loss, but there's a lot of misinformation out around those. I think there's some gray area there when it comes to who can benefit from these, and are they bad? Are they good? I do think personally, if somebody has a need for something to help them reduce appetite, if maybe they've really truly tried and they just have an appetite that's out of control, they have food noise they can't conquer, or some metabolic problems, they have some insulin resistance or inflammation, and their cells are just not responding to their insulin, to their other hormones to get the effect that they're looking for from already doing the other things right. That's where I think things like in the right appropriate low dosage, like terzepatide or retatrutide or retatrutide, however you want to say that one. The Reta have some good use cases. I don't think the semaglutide or Ozempic, the most like original GLP-1, is as good anymore for our person that we're talking to. Maybe more for somebody with a lot of weight to lose
Lot of weight.
or
Yep.
diabetic, but
Yep.
I do like for the person that has a good need for it, microdose of like tirzepatide, which is the best FDA approved medication out there right now. And for some context, I work with a big telehealth clinic that services both bodybuilders and athletes and just lifestyle people who want to get healthier. We do a lot of these. Retta is not approved yet. That doesn't stop a lot of bodybuilders from getting it.
No.
There are ways.
But supposedly it's coming soon. Their studies are coming out, and
Right.
it's coming soon from what they say.
I think it is coming pretty soon. I think that's going to be a good thing, especially to have that FDA approval stamp behind
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
I think it's hyped up for a good reason. I do think tirzepatide gets overlooked a little bit, but because it is so
Yeah.
good for a lot of the same things, just not really crushing someone's appetite, but helping with the brain chemistry side of it a little bit more with that dopamine response to food and even other reward centered activities like smoking, drinking, gambling. I've seen people have better control over addictions there with using low doses of this stuff. A lot of health benefits that can come with it, which is great when we're talking about things that help somebody in a bodybuilding context, because a lot of other fat burners that bodybuilders
Mhm.
have typically always used
Yeah.
Yeah.
have a
And
whole
they will
note about the
attack your adrenals, boy.
yeah,
Yep.
clenbuterol,
Yeah, okay.
overdoses of thyroid hormone,
Yep.
dosing like DNP, and then the whole anabolic side of it, all kind of things that are going to have a harmful effect on health. I do usually see improvements in most lab markers when somebody's using something like
Right.
tirzepatide or a Retta. And I don't think Retta's the best move for everyone. If you're not metabolically healthy enough, if there's some dysfunction, I think that whole glucagon part, the third agonist there,
Yeah.
could cause people some problems. Depending on the person, either one of those, like a microdose of a GLP-1 is helpful in a lot of cases. If you're working with a coach or doctor or clinic who like actually knows how to use this for the results you really want, which is not just, take this medicine and lose some weight. A lot of doctors
So
are still giving it out like that. It
Yep.
should be in the context of optimize everything else. And then this other piece of the puzzle here, the insulin sensitivity, the inflammation reduction, the appetite control, that's going to help you just a little bit with really driving that calorie deficit and that fat off.
So
Yep.
I want to ask you real quick on this. So just so people understand microdosing, because I think there's a lot of people that don't even understand what that is. So for example, like say breadetritide, say if the pyramid up, right? Start off with a half of a gram and then work your way up to maybe 3. Using that as a scale, how would you say, like, how would you explain microdosing with that one so people understand what that is?
Yeah, microdosing would be anything less than the standard clinical dose of something, which I'm more familiar with tirzepatide in that regard because it
We
is
can use tirzepatide,
FDA
yeah.
approved. Yeah, and I know that the dosing schedule is prescribed more commonly there. A microdose would be like instead of starting at say a clinic would normally do 5 milligrams once a week, somebody starts at 2.5, or they do 1 to 2 milligrams twice a week instead of once a
Right.
week. I
Yep.
think that works pretty well. Just like other medications, just like a good example is hormone replacement, testosterone.
Mm, yeah.
Doctors used to say, "Oh yeah, you can take a testosterone shot once a week or every other week, and your levels will go up." Well, they'll go up and they'll come back down, and they'll,
There's
they'll,
still some
they'll
doctors
go
saying
down.
that. There still are some.
Yeah, I hear it all the time. So what makes you think that this new medication is going to be given out any differently? They're going to base that around what's going to be easier for a lot of people to adhere
Mhm,
to. That doesn't mean it's the most optimal way of doing it. They're also designed for people with a lot of weight to lose, or they're diabetic, primarily for
mhm,
diabetes. So that person's going to need a little bit higher dose. But this is where somebody who doesn't need to eat a lot less, doesn't have a lot of weight to lose, can really benefit from a low dose of this stuff. Maybe it's for that person, maybe it's instead of 5 milligrams a week, it's 1 to 2 a week. Start there, see if you actually notice something, and you can slowly titrate it up. You'll hear from, doctors that haven't worked with athletes or more optimization that doesn't work. It definitely works. It makes enough of
Mhm.
a difference for the person who's already pretty dialed in.
Sure.
Right.
I
That's
think
the other
the other part of that is being dialed in other areas. So I do think this is important when somebody's looking to kind of look at their lab work and see what they can optimize in. Is
Right.
you want to get a
Yes.
big enough picture to make sure you can optimize a lot of different areas that work better together. And I get people sometimes for lab reviews I do that come in saying maybe they have a lot of markers off and a lot of goals they want to work on. But they come in and say, yeah, I really just want to start out simple and just try this one little thing and see if that helps. I don't want to do too much. And then maybe later I'll try this other thing. That approach can work. My opinion on that is like, if we want to optimize every area and really get you to your best, think of it like if you took your car to the mechanic. I like car analogies. So if you
yeah.
took your car to the mechanic and yeah, your engine's messed up, you need some oil, your battery's dead, and three of your tires are flat. You wouldn't just say like, well, just fix my tires. I think I can get by on that. I'm gonna try that and see if it drives
Yes.
better. Like you're gonna fix it all.
It's
So
a great analogy. Yeah.
when we're talking about microdosing a terzepatide, that low dose can work because we also want to be optimizing other areas too, and use some synergy when we can with other peptides, hormones, medications. If your testosterone's really low and you just get on a GLP-1, you're gonna have a risk of losing a lot of muscle, losing your metabolism. Same thing with really low thyroid coming in.
Mhm.
If you have low T and insulin resistance and you skip the GLP-1 and just take the testosterone, and well, you might have a lot of body fat. You might aromatize all of that into estrogen and not get good results from it. So we have
Right.
multiple things that we can fix together for a better effect. I think we can use the least when we still hit multiple different areas. We work on big three for me, probably hormones like testosterone, your thyroid, and then metabolic health, your insulin
Mhm.
sensitivity. I think if we can get all of those things in an optimal spot at once, that's where we see the best results. I know I took that question and kind of went off.
No,
No,
but it's
and that would
a lot of people are just looking like that. And if you just say, look at everything, let's look at the root cause of what it is, right? And you have support, you have tools there that can do it. And, obviously, if there's different areas, you want to do everything because your ultimate goal is the whole package, is your health,
Package.
is what you're looking to do. Because if your body is optimized, all the other things are going to work. The weight loss will be easier, your energy will be better, all of those things. But the key piece of what you talked about is having somebody there initially, looking at
Yeah. Yeah.
this is your
100%.
blueprint. These are the things we're finding. These are the things that will work. Now, they will work. But again, if you don't have the foundations, you need somebody to help you with those foundations to get you the best result, least amount of side effects, and get you the fastest point from point A to point B. That's
100%.
what work with a professional and work with a coach.
And you're spending the money on it, and you can pay big bucks for these, and if
Yep.
they don't work optimally, and then you have this person that's saying, "Well, it's not working," but they're not putting the new tires on, they're not changing the oil, you know, this is what you said, I really want people to understand that about this, is peptides are a great thing, the way I kind of explain it to people is it is like a medication only with positive side effects. So
Yeah.
the symptom of it is actually the things that you're not hearing about is actually where the magic is.
They're so
It's
positive. They're all
fixing the mitochondria, it's fixing on a cellular level, and it's healing guts, and it's doing all these things. That's what's causing you to have these progressions that you're getting. And so, but at the same time, like what you said, when you're dealing with gym bros, I'll pick on the gym bros, for example, is they hear the next big thing comes up and they're like, well, I'm going to get that because it's going to do this for me.
yeah.
And they may not even need what it does,
Correct.
So if you have something like, say, MOTS-C, for example, MOTS-C, and so we know that that's one of my personal favorites for regulating blood sugars.
Yeah.
But if you got a guy that has perfect blood sugars and he has no inflammation in his body, he's going to really wasting his money.
I
It's
think
like,
another good analogy there is like if we go back to the car thing, right? Like you can put premium gas in the car, or you you can put the best tires on it and all the fancy stuff. But like if you want to get somewhere, you gotta drive the car. So if you
Mhm.
sit in your driveway and keep putting gas in, like I'm almost ready to get there. Let me get some more good gas. Let me pump these tires up some more. Your tires are pumped enough. You just need to drive the car. So these things are going to help you once you actually take the action. But like a Mod C, for example, or L-carnitine, I like a lot, or Cell-U PP332. I didn't want to leave any of these things out. These are great for helping to burn fat for energy and getting us to there faster. But if you're not putting in the work and making a calorie deficit to burn those fats up,
Well, now you know how to edit this?
I don't think they're going to benefit you as much as you're looking for.
Okay, so Motzi and Sloop.
Yeah, so we cut off there for a second, but I think where we were going with that is, using something like a MOTS-C, SLU, SLU-PP332, L-carnitine is another good one, all kind of mitochondrial enhancers, going to help with using fat for energy and energy production and mitochondria. These are going to help if we're actually putting in the work and creating a calorie deficit and burning up some fat to be able to use for energy. But if you're just sitting around and taking some peptides because you heard from some gym bro or an
Mhm.
Instagram reel or chat GPT, it might not be the thing that actually fits into your plan and what you're doing. So
Yeah.
those are great peptides. I didn't want to leave them out of that
Yeah,
conversation. But
yeah,
yeah, I think it's got to make sense as a whole, and the foundation of eating well, having a good micronutrient status, sleeping, basic hormone levels, testosterone, estrogen, thyroid, IGF-1. Those go a long way. But before we look at like little things to enhance our mitochondria, and just exercising and getting outside and getting good sleep is also going to enhance your mitochondria a
yep,
lot
Right.
more than a peptide will on its own when you don't
yep,
have the other puzzle
Which
pieces.
is a key thing. You wanna have the combination of everything working together to do it. So, I think that's where a lot of people kinda, miss the boat a little bit. They kinda take it and use it as a crutch to be able to eat what they want or this or that. But
Yeah,
if you don't change those habits, when you get off, you're gonna have repercussions. But I will say, like, the thing that I think is really cool about peptides and that I love about it is that, like, in the bodybuilding world, how we were kinda saying how things change with the wind sometimes,
yeah,
and there's been a big impact in bodybuilding, at least in competition world, because of peptides. And I think it's a positive change. I think it's a very positive change. One is I've been seeing competitors come in much sharper on average, and a lot of less the post-show issues,
okay,
that can come with it as well. And I think this is something
yeah,
that because, bodybuilding since it's been around, at least competitive, has always been like attached to steroids. Everybody just assumes everybody's competing is on
yeah,
steroids, which is obviously not the truth. But for the ones that are and think that that's the only way, now you can bring something in that's actually healthy and can give a lot of the same effects if you use it properly. And I love that it's kind of changing bodybuilding in that sense. It's morphing into that, so that it becomes a much healthier sport, you know. I think that's going to really change the future of bodybuilding in a really good way, especially as these peptides progress. And they're progressing fast because there's a lot of money in this business.
there it
And when that
is.
money's there, people put money into it and it will keep progressing, which I'm for that because it goes obviously outside of the bodybuilding world, and it's overall health for everyone, when used properly. That's why the guidance is important and understanding that, okay, you want to really find it's very individualized. If you have your labs and you can see what holes you have, you can fill these holes and make things balanced out using a peptide with someone that understands it and how to use it. So there's so many great things for that, so many. And healing guts, is,
yeah, peacemaker.
the basic way, right? Yeah. The basic way is, the nutritionist way is to go through that protocol of eating the Mediterranean diet, which is great. We should be eating that anyway, right?
Yeah,
But also the $800 in supplements that come with it and the hope and praying that it's actually going to work by the end of that 12-week cycle or 16-week cycle. And
yeah,
then maybe you have to do it over again, which that was the only way for a long time. And then here comes, hey, BPC, look at this.
yeah,
And boom,
yeah, and
that was what got my attention on peptides,
yeah.
BPC, for that reason.
I think that is also where having actual guidance through that stuff, so the tools that you're using make sense is
Yep.
crucial to have. Able to, because there are so many options, and these are only gaining popularity. I think it probably does start from bodybuilding. A lot of these things come from bodybuilders
Voice.
first. I think, even the popularity and like rise of testosterone came from bodybuilding first, but with like a growing awareness of these things on social media, I hope education and proper use of them can keep up with that too, with all of the crazy stuff you hear. But that's just why it's important to be able to choose the right things that work for you, and that may be a lot of options. That may be BPC 157 for your gut health, or injection form for healing, some TB 500, and GHK copper for your skin and aesthetics. Some of these like men's physique, we got to look pretty, or
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
fit model. I think it'll be big, and that also eliminates the need for other like PEDs and at least some of
Yeah,
these divisions, or I would at least hope less PEDs and lower doses in the more muscular divisions.
right.
I know there are going to be people who just take the same amount of
Like,
drugs
always
and are reckless and say, let's take the peptides too. Maybe that'll make some lab markers a little bit better because there are some benefits here. But
Mm,
yeah, I also think that's why I really love where some of these trends in the industry are going. And for me now, working more with bodybuilders and even coaches on the health side of things
right.
is really rewarding, because one, I know as an IFBB pro, like getting a pro card and winning a show is not everything. Like you're gonna want a future, and even if you love competing, you want longevity in doing
Right.
that. You will
yes.
get better as a bodybuilder if you can just do it longer, and that means staying healthier and having
Yeah.
good labs and feeling good, having your life. You got to have that outside of bodybuilding. So I think that for the most part, bodybuilders know a lot of the things they need to do, or their coach knows, to get in shape, to put muscle on, and keep progressing in shows. And a big thing that's going to separate those people is time and genetics. But you can also get some oversight, and or use some of these new tools that we have awareness on now to just stay more healthy while you're doing that. Maybe you can achieve the same result in the long run. Everybody's limit is going to be different, and not to hold anybody back from trying to win the Olympia or go pro. Like, you don't know until you try. But if you're really meant to get there, you're going to get there if you keep at it. But there are ways to be healthy too while you're
Yeah.
doing it. I think you can
Yeah.
achieve almost the same in most cases with a health conscious approach as you can to just like blasting it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you touched on a really big one too. A big word is longevity in life, and quality of life. And that's one of the things that I see as a great addition to this is, everybody has a reason for using them, and it's not always body composition. It's rebuilding the health. And knowing when you see labs, when you see, liver enzymes are optimal, when you see blood sugar levels are optimal, when you see the triglycerides come down, it's optimal, and
Metabolic.
cholesterol. Let's be real. When we know how the Western medicine works, right? And I mean, I'm not harshing on any doctors, but I'll bring up insurance companies kind of have a way of messing things up a little bit, right? So you're seeing a lot of people get put on a cholesterol med, right? So because they're a couple points over the limit when we already know that limit's already low. And whereas a peptide can come in and clean up the liver enzymes and certain peptides and actually lower the cholesterol as well. In addition, again, it's going back to the symptoms that it comes with when you're trying to achieve one thing and all of a sudden, whoa, look at that, my cholesterol's down. Now and you're seeing these things happen. So that is longevity. When you're functioning well on the inside, you can look great on the outside, but that does not mean you're healthy,
Correct.
and
Of
and, and
course,
it,
you see
that's
all these bodybuilders that things are happening to them, and it's like, well, they're in great shape. They are, but you have to look at the whole person. I mean, it's true. It's metabolic health,
right.
because those markers, when you're seeing cholesterol and you're seeing blood sugars and you're seeing all those things, it is a sign that, like, red flag, something is going on and something is making the body very angry.
Yeah.
And they get put on a right? And that increases blood sugars and puts them into pre-diabetic. but
Yep.
that's what the doctors are told they have to do by the insurance companies. And I see this changing because of peptides. It has to, because people are going to be aware and they're going to know. And the doctors are going to have to do that, which I see as that's a big win to get people off of this and actually give them something that truly makes them healthy,
And there are so
and
many that do that.
yeah,
It's crazy.
right.
I
And
do
it
think,
is.
yeah, I do think heart health is really important for the bodybuilder too, or just anybody that has a family history of it or has had a history
Yes.
of not the best metabolic health. The first symptom of a heart attack or heart disease a lot of times is a heart attack. Stay on top of your blood work, stay healthy, prevent that if you can. But it's crazy how much a SLU or a carnitine or maybe MOTS-C for the right person, or even a compound that used to be more popular called cardarine, GW 501, 516, kind of performance enhancers can really slash your bad cholesterol and do a lot for
Mhm.
heart health while, keeping a person where they want to be with their aesthetic goals too. It's just
Yeah.
crazy to think that we have so many of these options. And for people like us and probably the listeners, we've heard a lot about these things, but the general population, they really haven't. My
Well,
dad had a stroke in April, told his doctors that, he was using BPC 157 to help with the healing, and he was doing a whole lot better. It did a ton for him, but his
Mhm.
doctors were like, "What the heck is that?" Like, didn't know
Yeah,
half of the labs that I had run on him or the peptides or supplements that he started using. BPCs like could help so many people after
yeah,
surgery. Like, how
yep.
many people are relying on pain meds to get
And then
up
that
the street?
develops into a whole nother situation.
And, maybe there's a conspiracy going on to keep people on the meds that make money. Maybe not. I don't know.
Listen, as soon as they figure out how much money people we be spending on these, it's gonna flip and they're gonna figure out a way that they'll get their handle on it. But at least if it is offered, and people do have the guidance because, we've said it multiple times, but it's like you can hear a lot of things on the internet and people will get this of, oh, I want to try it because I probably have this. But if people don't understand, it's like, hey, these are Calvin's macros. He's all shredded. I'm gonna go eat what Calvin eats.
Right.
If I eat what Calvin eats, I'm going to be the size of a house. It's like people don't think about, well, if it worked for him, it'll work for me. No, it won't. Like, let's go ahead and take your genes and put them on you because his genes won't fit you. And if you have somebody that is knowledgeable in that area that looks at the labs, because people can buy them online, people can buy all kinds of things, but if you say, hey, listen, this is what's going on. Here are your labs. These are the markers that are off. These are the things that would optimize this. Plus, some of them work together in certain ways. So having the guide there is really important because you could be doing one and another one is going to be canceling it out. So
Yeah.
you're basically wasting your money. So the
Which is
guidance,
work really well together if you knew to put the right things together.
right? It like
Mhm.
ramps it up. It's like
yeah,
the sunshine
A
and
lot
the
of thought
rainbow.
that goes into this, and I see a lot of because this is what I do too, and I see a lot of people come in with Chat GPT recommended peptides or assessments
mm,
of their lab work. It's
yeah,
just that may be able to get some things on the right track, but you really do need to be able to look at the person as an individual and get a little bit deeper and correlate the plan, the results, whether it's the lab work or just the
Their lives.
biofeedback that you're getting from their coaching plan, their check-ins, relate all of that to their actual goals, symptoms, how they're feeling, and where they want to go. And then you can tie things together really well.
Yeah.
But you can't chat GPT it.
No.
That's not always going
No.
to work.
no, there's definitely coaches, like we all do, I think is creating its own space and it's evolving. And I think we have a bigger role, at least the more advanced coaches that are doing functional type coaching like us, we're creating a space right now that I think is going to be more and more in demand, as it progresses. And partially because of what you're saying about the medications and, who's to know if these are being given because of financial things, and their kickback or whatever. And so people need to have a place where they can go, a coach or something to go to that they know everything that they're doing is truly to help this person, and understand it, but also have the education and awareness to be able to do that, using things like this. So I think it's kind of becoming a necessity for an area that's been lacking for a long time. And I'm sure that you see, Jess, all the time on labs and kind of how things are treated medically. And it makes you more aware of little is being observed over time because of the limited lab panels that they're not doing full lab panels.
Very
And
limited.
so many things in these people's lives could have been a different way if they did do that, if they actually checked these ahead of time. So we're more preventative where Western medicine is, hey, you're broke, let's patch you up. So they're doing their job, but too many people put their weight on the medical field, doctors being preventative, and that's really not what their job is. Their job is to fix you after you're broken. This is where coaches, functional coaches come in and say, hey, let's keep you from breaking. Let's keep you running it perfectly so that you don't break.
From getting there, or just instead of making you not sick, let's optimize you, make you better, or
Right.
let's look at your labs from a context of your fitness, your bodybuilding goals, and your individual needs, and not what's normal. When a clinical normal lab range is an average of our
Let's
big
see, healthy.
population, you check your testosterone as a man, you're compared to an average of what's in their database of like older guys who have gone to their urologist. They're probably not the highest T individuals. So
Yeah.
really good to look at things from that perspective. I think a big piece of advice on blood work for anybody in bodybuilding, especially if you're competing in bodybuilding and you get some labs done, don't just go to your doctor and say like, hey, I want some blood work done. That's why I
Nice.
really got
Wow.
into this whole space and work with the clinic Merrick Health that I do now, is because I got so tired of people saying, yeah, I got some blood work done, my doctor said it looked good, or they send it to me and it's like, okay, you're not anemic,
Good
but
to go.
I'll see.
Great.
I see you next year.
Yeah. So I am glad that there's more awareness around this now. I think functional is growing between the interest in peptides and supplements and lab work, tying it together. I think part of that is just the coaching industry growing, and good coaches wanting to level up their skills and stand out and know this stuff. Granted, there are always going to be people who like see this stuff and be like, oh yeah, I want to be a hormone expert. I'm going to talk about this. Maybe you should actually get some good education in that first. But I
Yeah.
am glad that it's getting more popular, and we're kind of seeing a bridge between fitness and medicine
Yep.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
functional medicine
And
a
just
little
health and
bit
just
better.
optimizing health. And it's not just about, bro lifting in the gym and taking all the PDs and just see what happens and just,
Mhm.
figure it out. But now it is that coaches are really looking at optimizing health, preventing things from going wrong, and getting the bodies in the best shape and the best health so that they perform better. It's
Right.
not about, let me push harder, cut the good calories, see how hard I can push you. Hopefully nothing will happen. So I
Yeah,
do.
but
I
good
agree.
point. You do perform better, and I think some people are scared to get this done because they're like, yeah, I think I'm healthy enough. Like I don't need to see. I really just want to win. I want to win in bodybuilding, and I want to get jacked. And it's like, no, you can actually get better results if you're healthier too. It's not just about
Definitely.
let's make sure you're okay. So that's a perspective that I try to bring to it too. Let's make
Yeah.
sure you're healthy, but let's also get more insight to optimize what you're already doing to get better results with it.
Yeah. It's kind of like that mentality with some people is if it fits in your macros, then it works, right?
That was
But
me.
we're not considering blood sugars, inflammation, gut issues. No, none of that. Just if it fits in your macros, you're good to go. So,
That's why
but
I
that's the
know.
evolution, right? Yeah. So that's what we've evolved. We've kind of grown out of that. Now we're like, okay, these things do matter. It does matter what you put in your mouth. And so
So
that's the thing. What I see in the future and what I hope for out of what this type of coaching does for people is that we start to see people that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s that don't look like they're that age, that don't act like they're that age, and they all of a sudden have a better quality of life, and
Yes.
you're seeing a change, and you're seeing you're giving this gift, to these people that come to you, and we have these clients, and in my mind, when I'm working with someone, is I'm like, man, I can give them years under their life. I can give them their family, their grandkids. It's a gift to them. You're giving this person extra time and quality time. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize, but I see that happening more and more because we're coaching people on how to optimize from the inside out and be the best version, but not just for how you look right now. It's where you're going to be in 10 years, 15, 20 years. So it's just that's why I'm saying we're kind of creating our own space where this didn't really exist before.
I think it's growing. I think things are going to change for the good in the future. I think for longevity too. I think there are some statistics that show. Don't quote me on this. I may have it not 100%, but I think that when we look at lifespan right now, it is a little bit longer than it used to be. Just lifespan, living longer. But if you look at something called health span, which is how many years are you functioning well? Are you feeling good and healthy and getting around? That health span is not as long as that lifespan. Yeah, and I think you know that's where we really want to be, the future of this kind of information just getting out there more, and all of this growing, and hopefully more people starting to take a little better care of their health, and use some of these new tools, whether it's better blood work and coaching, or these peptides and things like that too, if there's a use for it. I think we can hopefully get to a spot where that health span is longer, people a longer time, but they feel good doing it too.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind, if you wouldn't mind actually coming on with us again at some point and just kind of talking over some of your different peptides and applications, things like that, how you use them with people, just to get a little bit more education out there, more specific for that sort of thing. If you'd be open to coming back on at some point.
I could talk a lot about this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Well, I know we've been keeping you for a while, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, but we truly, truly appreciate you being here. And just for everybody out there, if you did want information from Jess, or you had some questions for him or to find him, I will put all of his information in the show notes for you. So thank you, Jess. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I would truly appreciate if you guys found this helpful to please drop a review. And if there are any other topics, to drop
Here,
them.
one more question for Jess, just because I did need. What's your favorite '90s rock band?
I wouldn't know
Best music generation.
who was
Joe
in
Rittman.
he's
Yes.
I can give you all of them. Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam.
Okay, Pearl Jam.
All right.
Oh, Jam. Thank you so
I don't want
much.
to say something that's too old.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Let
Jess.
me hit you with a good random question off topic before we
Yeah.
wrap up. Yeah, thanks for
All right,
coming on.
guys.
I appreciate it.
That was a lot.
Thank you so much, Jess. All right, everyone. Have a good one. Till next time. Thanks for tuning in to Master Your Metabolism. If you found value in today's episode, it would mean the world to us if you'd hit subscribe and share this episode with someone who could use a little guidance in their health journey. Ready to take the next step? Head over to www.mastersfitnesscoaching.com and you can book a free call right from the site so we can chat about your goals and how we can help support you. Don't forget to join our Facebook group where we're sharing coaching tips, support, and tricks to help keep you on track and continue making progress. You don't have to do this alone. We're here to walk with you every step of the way. Until next time, stay consistent, stay kind to yourself, and keep mastering your metabolism. Let's do this together.